The aim of all radio operators should be to get the message through with complete accuracy and minimum delay, so the least possible time is spent occupying frequency. Occupying frequency may prevent other users from communicating when they need it most. So here are a few general operating guidelines. First, listen before you call. If someone's already talking on the channel you want to use, it's going to be really inconvenient if you try to talk over them. It'll garble the transmission. Second, don't interrupt. If you hear people talking, wait until their conversation is finished before you begin, unless it's an emergency. Third, think before you speak. Know what you are going to say before you press the PTT or push to talk button. Long moments of quiet thinking are frustrating for others and occupy frequency unnecessarily. Fourth, speak clearly. Use your normal voice and do not speak too fast. Divide your message into natural phrases instead of individual words so that they flow smoothly. Fifth, never transmit sensitive, confidential, financial, or military information unless you're certain that your conversations are secured with a proper level of encryption for the level of sensitivity. Otherwise, you should always assume your conversations can be heard by others. Sixth, spell difficult, ambiguous, or unfamiliar words using the phonetic alphabet. For more on this, refer to the phonetic alphabet lesson in this series. Seventh, keep your conversations short. There's no need to ramble, and conversations should be kept as brief as possible, so as to allow others the time to use the frequency. Eighth, reply promptly when someone calls you. When a transmitting radio has said over, reply immediately. If a transmitting radio fails to receive an immediate reply, there will be doubts as to whether the message has actually been received, your radio is working, or if you're even on your radio. And lastly, as a recap, here are the 4 golden rules of radio operation. 1. Clarity. For clear communications, speak slightly slower than normal and avoid shouting. 2. Simplicity. Simplified language will make it easier for everyone to understand you. 3. Brevity. Keep your statements short and concise. And 4. Security. Always assume that someone is listening to your conversation. If your system uses encryption, you still need to be cautious because there is a human element that could cause a security breach. And this concludes our lesson on radio operating techniques. Procedure words are standard, easily pronounced words which have been assigned special meanings to speed up message handling on radio networks. They should be used whenever appropriate. The following procedure words are acceptable for general use. First, acknowledge. Use this when the person you're addressing must acknowledge receipt of the message. Next, affirmative. This simply means yes, or that is correct. Break. You have an urgent message and need to interrupt the current conversation. Correction. This indicates that an error has been made and that the transmission will repeat from the last word correctly used. I say again, I will retransmit the message or part of the message. I spell. The word will be spelled using the phonetic alphabet. Negative, meaning no, or that's not correct. Out. End of transmission. No reply is expected. Additionally, over, which also means that it's the end of the transmission, but this time a reply is expected. Radio check. Say this when you want to know that your signal strength and readability is strong. Relay 2. Transmit this message to the addressee indicated. Roger. Message received and understood. Say again. Please repeat your last transmission. This indicates the calling unit's identification is next. For instance, if dispatch were making a call and needed to identify themselves, they would say, "This is dispatch." Wait. A pause of a few seconds will follow. When making a radio call, it's important to connect with the right person or people. This process will look different depending on if you're using a conventional network or a trunk network. For a conventional network, simply select the channel being used by the person or people you need to connect with. First, you will need to establish contact by identifying by name the recipient and yourself. Once they acknowledge transmission, then you can carry on your conversation until it's complete. So let's do an example. My call sign will be Portable 5, and I will communicate with Base 23. First, I would say, Base 23, this is Portable 5 on Channel 2. Over. Then Base 23 acknowledges as follows. Portable 5, this is Base 23. Over. Then I might say something like, Base 23, I have returned from job 734. Are there any messages? Over. Base 23 would then reply, Portable 5, you have 3 messages. Over. Portable 5 replies, Base 23, I will collect them at 1600. Over. And then Base 23 replies and signs off by saying, Roger Mobile 5, this is Base 23, out. Trunk networks, however, work a bit differently because you may have the option to make individual calls or group calls. An individual call is a one-to-one call between one user and another user. As there are only 2 people involved in this call, it is a private call. An individual call is made by dialing the individual's number from the keypad of the radio or choosing their ID from a menu. A radio can be configured to ring like a cell phone, and to answer, the user pushes the PTT switch. Call timers are generally lower for individual calls and for group calls to keep conversations to a minimum and reserve system time. Once a call finishes, the units involved in the call return to their local control channel. Talk groups consist of people with a common interest. They can be fixed by the network operator, or they can come together for a certain situation. This call is the most often used voice call for trunk networks. So when a talk group is called by an individual, the system assigns a channel for that call to go ahead. The group can be permanent, which means that it's programmed into each individual radio. Group calls are typically used for emergencies or for calls that are significant to a team. A group call could either be a conference call, where everybody in the call can respond and communicate, or a broadcast call, where only the person who started the transmission can talk. So in broadcast calls, everyone must listen. And that is how you connect. The safety of users is a top priority for organizations who provide radio communications. Clear, concise communications are critical to worker safety. So in this video, we will provide 6 principles that demonstrate the best way to use a microphone to ensure clear, concise communication. Although we're using a speaker microphone and a portable, these principles apply when speaking directly into a portable or when using a mobile radio microphone as well. Now, this radio is set to analog FM mode, and although it has some noise cancellation and voice enhancement technology, I've turned that off to help the demonstration of what can go wrong when you don't do things the right way. First, you need to push and hold the PTT button throughout your transmission. A common mistake many users new to radio make is starting their conversation before they finish pressing the PTT button, or letting go of the PTT button before their transmission is complete. Although you might only miss 1 or 2 words, those 1 or 2 words could be very important. Many trunked and digital radios will provide the user a beep, so make sure you wait for the beep before speaking. Second, you should hold the microphone between 2 and 5 centimeters from your mouth. A common mistake is talking too far away from the microphone. This makes the audio more susceptible to room noise, reverb, and harsh tones. On the flip side,
getting too close to the mic can be bad too. You'll pick up excessive breathing, mouth noises, and pops from letters like P and T,
which are called plosives. Many users keep their radios on their lapel, which works great because it's about that right amount of distance, so 2 to 5 centimeters or 1 to 2 inches. Next, you should talk
past the microphone instead of directly into it. When you talk straight into it, that creates a lot of plosives.
Those gusts of air, puffs of air go from your mouth into the microphone and can cause some trouble. Pivot the mic around your mouth so that you're talking past the mic instead of into the mic. Again, keeping it on your lapel will help ensure that you talk past the microphone instead of directly into it. Fourth,
don't rattle the microphone. Try to avoid movement of the microphone in your hand while transmitting.
Any movement can translate into background noises or inconsistent volume levels, which detract from the quality of the transmitted signal. Fifth, when possible, avoid noise around the microphone. What you do away from the mic is just as important as in front of the microphone. So if possible, avoid loud keyboards, squeaking chairs, cracking knuckles, whispered conversations, background noisemakers, and anything else. It's always better to speak in a quieter area. So if possible, move to a less noisy location to improve the quality of your speech. Or at a minimum, try and cover up to block some of that outside noise. And sixth, speak clearly in your normal voice. That means you don't
need to shout.
And you don't want to speak
too fast because it makes it difficult for people to understand you.
Divide your message into natural phrases rather than individual words so that what you say flows smoothly. So there you have it. Following these 6 principles when you use your radio will improve audio clarity and therefore increase safety.